So the first factor that people propose for the cause of the Pleistocene extinctions is climate. And like on the face of it, that seems to make total sense. Because uh, it was the Ice Age, then the Ice Age animals went extinct. Seems obvious. But I would suggest that climate is impossible. It's one of the least likely ways um, that these animals would have gone extinct. I mean, if you just think about it, let's use our framework. So ask the question: did the climate change happen immediately before the extinctions, and did it not happen in other places? Um, so the climate change happened all over the world, but the extinctions were concentrated in um, in the Americas, right? And then there's Australia, where all of a sudden had all these extinctions that are completely out of step with the extinctions in North America and South America. So you had you had no real extinctions in Africa at that point. You had practically no extinctions in Eurasia at that point. You had extinctions in Australia and the Americas at completely different times. And the major climate changes had already happened. Um, and without any noticeable impact on the megafauna, right? Okay, so climate, just I can't see a way that climate could that you could say that the chronology works in favor of the idea of a climate extinction event. Okay, so then the chronology, the severity. Can we explain the severity of the extinctions? Can we explain losing, 36 genera or whatever in North America? Three orders of land mammals we lost. More orders of animals than North America lost probably since the extinction of the dinosaurs. Um, at one time, unreplaced. It's not a new taxon coming in and replacing. It's these niches are left vacant. Can we explain that with climate change? I I suggest not. There had been 44, you know, climate changes in the Quaternary in the last 3 million years before that, and it didn't result in any loss of megafauna. You had megafauna lost from the ice sheets to the Amazon, right? And all through there was plenty of places where the climate did not change, but did not change significantly. But yet you've got a situation where you have an extremely intense loss of animals. Um, you know, like take something like the white-tailed deer. The white-tailed deer lives from the Yukon to Central America, right? From one end of the country to the other. How do you have a climate change so severe that you kill all the white-tailed deer, right? It, it's not very likely. Well, look at mastodons. Mastodons had an even greater ecological amplitude than white-tailed deer. You know, they lived from the ice sheets down to central to South America to the Amazon. They lived from what's now below sea level to what's now 10,000 feet above sea level. How do you have a climate change so severe that you kill every mastodon, right? Um, and so then the, the I'm making a video. So
Dad, me when do you
Just a moment, I'm almost done. Can you ask your brother to help you? So then the big thing is, okay, you can imagine a climate change that could wipe out a mastodon, right? But can you imagine a climate change that actually happened, first of all? And then how do you imagine one so severe that it wipes out all the mastodons and it doesn't cause any extinctions in any orchid, in any amphibian, in any little reptile or insect, that we have no evidence that it created any extinctions in any genera that are other than large mammals. Some things that verge into mesomammals, but basically, the larger the mammal, the more likely it is to have gone extinct. Yeah, there is no reality, climate reality, that can fit such a tight, it just couldn't happen.